Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight we are live. We are doing our top 10 tracks from the year 1990. We've got a great panel tonight. We want to keep it interactive. We want to hear from you in the chat. Let's do this.
Grant is changing the world one track at a time on Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Hey, everybody. We are live. How is everybody feeling? Oh, I had that graphic up, and now it looks weird without it. Anyway, what was our graphic? Oh, there it is. All right, we're going to start out with this. Anyway, I want to thank the panel. Look at this panel. We've got Todd Evans, ladies and gentlemen. We've got DC Toontime. We've got BM Bolt and John the Music Nut. Now, Ivon was supposed to come on, and I have his picks, but Ivon got sick, so I'll go over his picks, but everybody's probably going to go, oh. So, but anyway, I wish Ivon was here because I love what Ivon always brings to the panel. Yes. But oh well, we will. Hey, it's a fluid panel, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, let's see what's happening in the comments. Look at that. Webb, how's it going? There's Todd Evans.
Yes,
100%. Ernesto, great to see Todd. Yes, see, it's open arms. Everybody's glad. Like we're back to normal. Trey, hello. Hey, Trey, how's it going? Nice to see you. See who else is here. Jason, the only black closed brack. Is it going to be one of those nights where I can't say anything? Yep, the only Black Crowes album I like. Well,
somebody's looking at my list.
Nathan, how's it going? Nice to see you.
D-Rocker with
what is D-Rocker?
AC/DC Thunderstruck. That was on my runners-up list. And my one grandson absolutely goes nuts over that song. He can't contain himself.
Wolfpack says this was a weird year. 1991 had a lot of more obvious choices. I don't know. Maybe.
You know, that's what I thought until I started making my list. And then I was surprised that there was so many good things in 1990. But I thought the same too. I was like, oh, I can't wait till 91. Then I was like, 90's pretty good too.
There we go. 5 studs. Damn right, Webb.
Yes, sir.
Damn right. All right, let's get started. We're gonna keep this fun and interactive, and it's always fun. This is the Hudson Valley Squares night, so I think Pete said they're going to start around 9:30 or 10 or something tonight, but we'll be done by then. Anyway, thanks everybody let's get started. I think we're going to go as we always do. We'll go 3, 3, and 4. Does that sound good, gentlemen?
That'll work.
All right, and I'm going to start out with Mr. DC Toontime. So, DC, what are your first 3 1990?
All right. Some thoughts as we enter a new decade. Now, my top 10 only contains a few songs that were released as singles, and even those singles got nowhere near the top of the charts for the year, and that's fine. What I'm realizing here as we move along is the gap between what I like and popular taste continues to widen. So,
yeah.
And in keeping with my usual top 10, I have to have a Todd Rundgren choice. And since I don't have a performance choice, I will go with the Todd Rundgren production pick in my top 10. And if you like Amy Mann, and if you like the kind of quirkiness of Cyndi Lauper, I think you'll find this album, Things Here Are Different, by singer-songwriter Jill Sobule. And I could have picked 3 or 4 songs on this album that are my absolute favorites. I do like every track here, and the album is a 10. But the song I picked was Too Cool to Fall in Love. And it's a slightly jazzy tune with horns, and it's got a laid-back vibe. And it sounds like something that Sade would have recorded. Just a different type of artist for Todd to produce, but he did a fantastic job with her. And I made these picks a couple weeks ago, and sadly, over the last couple of days, I'm on YouTube and I see a little feature come up, celebrities who have passed this week. And I see a little photo in the corner, and I think, dang, that looks like Jill Sobule. And sure enough, tragically, Jill died in a house fire the 1st or the 2nd of this month. Very sad. I guess everybody got out of the home except for her. Just tragic. A wonderful artist. Her first 4 albums are all gems. Once we get past the first one, there are more lighter tunes because this is a very reflective and pensive album here. It's great songs. But as we move through, she did more lighthearted fare mixed in with that kind of stuff. But really a great artist, and such a shame. What a horrible, way to go. But hats off to you, my dear, and thanks for all the great music. So after bringing everybody down,
we got that out of the way, but it was very appropriate. Come on, she's a great artist.
You offer your tributes to these people that provided so much joy in your life. And the life of most artists is pretty tough. And for Jill, keeping a career and keeping afloat and everything, hats off to her. But I'm going to keep the down vibe going. Now, if you folks watched the Bebop Deluxe show that Grant and I did a while back, or not a while back, just last week, I touched on brain surgery that I had in 2018 and how there were 2 songs after my surgery for 4 days were pinging back and forth and they could not be dislodged. One of them was Bebop Deluxe's Crying to the Sky. And the next one is my second pick. And it's from the album Time's Up. And it's Living Color with Elvis is Dead. Those 2 songs. Bing bong, bing. Hey, Corey, what? Boom, 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 boom.
Is it because you were short circuiting or what?
I was. It was pretty bad until I got my bearings back. If in fact I truly have. But it's from the album Time's Up. This is wild, funky, and topical for its time. Plus, we get a spoken word section from special guest Little Richard. And if Marlon was here, I would inform him that is a funky sax solo is also included. They're funny and clever lyrics. And I do like my hard rock mixed with the funk. And that's why I love Richie Kotzen and Glenn Hughes so much. So now that we've got all the negative shit out of the way, let's move on to my third pick, which is more upbeat and lighter, but it's still hard rock. And if you know me, I like my hard rock with harmony vocals, especially if they're Beatlesque. And my next pick exemplifies this perfectly. It's King's X with It's Love. And I first heard this tune early in the morning when I was living in Cincinnati at their classic rock powerhouse, WEBN, and I just stopped in my tracks when I heard it. It was as if God answered a music prayer where I wished for a hard rock Beatles. And this is just so tightly wound with that idea, with the harmonic vocals and the Beatles vibe. Most of their catalog is not like this. You can pick little pieces here and there. I'll gladly take any of the tunes that they made in this style. And it's catchy as all get up, and I can listen to this thing on a running loop all day long. It's that good for me. And with that, I am done with my first 3, and we'll go on to Mr. Bolt.
I will say this, Mr. Tune Time.
Yes,
this
sir.
is my favorite King's X album, and I do think that this love is just a slice of
it's a slice of
goodness, really.
Hard rock, harmonic heaven.
It's great.
Yeah. This one or Dogman are my favorites, but
good production, good songwriting. I like that more poppy edge and that Beatlesque type of harmonies that they go for on that.
I do. I love it. I wish they would do more, but they got to do what they got to do.
Yep. All right. Excellent. All right. Byron, you are up, sir.
All right. I don't have a prop for the first one, but you
got I got it all.
I know.
You know.
Yeah, so my first pick, I want to go with Steve Vai, For the Love of God. This song is sort of his tour de force. I mean, he's got to play this live. It's just this beautiful melody with the sitar arpeggios behind him, and the solo is just top notch. This is really Steve's coming out, I thought, and you can't go wrong with the song Blue Powder on there either. I really like that track quite a bit. So My next pick, I'm gonna go. This was when this album came out, I was like, okay, I don't really know. I know he's in a band with his brothers, but I'm gonna go with Ernie Isley off of his what the hell is this even Highwire album. I'm gonna go Back to Square One. This is a really good album. I mean, I was surprised by it when it came out.
Yeah,
fantastic. I really like a lot of stuff on this. A lot of good tracks. I think the heaviest track on here is probably the Back to Square One, though. Just a lot of great riffs on that track, too. So if you haven't heard this album, you need to check it out. It's really good.
And that's the only album he put out.
Possibly. Yeah, I don't really know. I
bought one.
Yeah.
I bought one off Discogs. It was cheap. It was only like $1. There's plenty of them up there, but it's a great record.
I kept on waiting for the follow-up, and the best we got were Isley, Jasper, and Isley, which was more the soul-based, more Isley Brothers Jr. type of album. But he never went back and recorded another second album.
Yeah, I've never really listened to the Isley Brothers really, and that came out, and I was like, all right. They were playing something on the radio. I thought, well, this is pretty good. So I picked it up at some point. And you don't really see it anymore. But yeah, I'm glad I have it. So
what the hell is Ernesto talking about? Jesus. Oh, Lord.
All right.
Mr. Bold, please only pick Caucasian artists. Is that what he's saying? What the?
All right. So on my next pick, I'm going to go with Judas Priest, the title track of Painkiller. They doubled down on heavy on this album because, Turbo is a little iffy in spots. And actually, I don't really mind the next album, whatever the hell that was.
Ram it down.
It's not as bad as some people make it out to be, but it's got some good moments to it. But they really went heavier on this album. And that's kind of where the 90s was going, really. It's a little too bad, though, that Rob left after this, and then they were kind of wandering through the wilderness for a few years until he came back. But it was a great album, and it's kind of sad that they broke up. Well, he left at that point. So those are my first three.
Well, Nick says Painkiller is one of Rob Halford's best vocal performances.
Yeah, that's one of the that's probably the heaviest song they ever did up until that point. I mean, there was a few other that were pretty big. In general, the whole album is pretty heavy. A couple slow tunes. It's a great album.
Excellent. Thank you, Byron. Excellent picks. All right, let's throw it over to John the Music Nut. Now, we don't know what voices John's going to use this episode. If you remember the last episode, John was doing all kinds of impersonations of people. I mean, Rand Kelly for one, and, well, I don't know what kind of mood he's in today, but
maybe we could have John. Maybe we could have John do Yvonne's top 10.
Oh, exactly. I'll do that. Yes, we'll have John do Yvonne's picks. That's great.
Okay, fair enough. That's good.
Right.
Okay, so my number 10, a few of you have already mentioned this band in the chats. This was my introduction to the Black Crowes off of their album Shake Your Moneymaker, Jealous Again. This was the first single and the first video. Anybody out there who's watched me knows I love to talk about bridges and songs. There's 2 great bridges in this song. And this is their introduction to the world. This got played heavy on Rock 107, WEZX FM, Scranton, Pennsylvania, still locally owned and operated. Biggest selling album, I'll tell you what, though, they have a very rich catalog. I mean, you don't want to just stop at this album. You want to move on because they didn't just stay in this lane. They changed their sound just a little bit on each album, and every album has something off. So my number 10 is Jealous Again. My number 9, speaking of bands, they're a little southern in them. This was the first album of this legendary band's second comeback, one of my favorite bands, and I just talked about them on my channel, John the Music Nut. This was the first single off their comeback album from 1990. This is the Allman Brothers Band from the album 7 Turns, Good Clean Fun. Now, this was a huge hit on album-oriented rock stations. This really showed the Allman Brothers were indeed back after the last albums they had from Arista Records in the early 80s. They were kind of getting a little more radio friendly on those albums. I mean, they're decent albums, but some people were saying, especially by Reach for the Sky, that they were becoming more like the Doobie Brothers. Here, they really went back. They really got their mojo back on here. Warren Haynes joining the band really helped them out a lot. I mean, it really brought them a shot in the arm. But this is an excellent track. It's another one with a great bridge on it, but you got that great harmonica playing on there. The dual lead guitars are back. Everything about this song rocks. It still sounds great today. My number 9 is Allman Brothers Band, Good Clean Fun.
I've always thought that was a great album cover.
Absolutely. Oh my God, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've heard that album though.
That's a good album.
I
It,
can't
it's
admit I admitted that, but I'm admitting.
it didn't. I don't think it went gold, but it still sold pretty well. And they had 3 songs from this album hit AOR. So the title track, and It Ain't Over Yet, got played a lot on AOR. Good album. It's not one of my favorite albums. It's probably like in the middle of the pack when I rank the albums, but it's still definitely worth owning. It's very good.
Yeah.
All right, my number 8 just sounds like something that Ivon would list. But I'll do it in my voice.
Close.
Well, yeah, close. Okay, I know one of you in the comments said a song by this band already. I believe this was the last big hit by this band. It was their last top 10 hit anyway. And this is from their album X. This is In Excess with Disappear.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember that song.
If you heard it again, you'd be like, oh, yeah. It's more poppy than some of their other songs. And it's great vocal performance here from Michael Hutchence. Wonderful chorus on here. It's a very upbeat song. One of our most upbeat songs, I would say. It doesn't have the horns in it like you had on previous hits by In Excess. Very, very cool track. Very catchy. My number 8 is Disappear by In Excess. All right. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, Ash says that was a big hit in Australia. So
hit number
I kept thinking Suicide Blonde, but what was that? What year was
that?
Suicide
Was the
Blonde?
First single from X, and the second single was Disappear, and they both hit
okay. All right. There you go, Nick. Disappear by In Excess was always on a loop track during one of my jobs. Excellent. All right, well, that was 3, right, John?
Yes.
All right, let's throw it over to. Thank you, by the way. Let's throw it over to Todd Evans to get his first 3. Todd, you're up.
Okay, for my number 10, I'm going to go down to this deep south and a band from North Carolina, from Raleigh, called the Connells, and this is a song called "Set the Stage." And Connells were, they were named after 2 guys in the band that were brothers, last name Connell, and they were, kind of a college rock kind of band. And this particular song, "Set the Stage," is almost like more of an arena rock kind of an anthematic kind of ballad, and really, really strong. I think that this is probably their best album. Most people, I'm going to get comments for this. Most people think that the album that comes after this, Ring, is their best album, but I actually like this one a little better. Surprisingly mainstream, and when you hear this song especially, you'll think I'm surprised that didn't get airplay. Very, very good, very strong track. So that's my number 10. My number 9 is from a very favorite band of mine, probably a top 20 band of mine. And I always say, well, I'll say what it is first. It's the Railway Children, and the song is "Something So Good" from their 3rd album. That's the reissue cover, which I actually like better. But this is a UK import right here. But they had 3 albums. They started out as a Factory Records band, and so their first album is this one here, Reunion Wilderness, and it very much has that DIY Factory Records kind of a sound. And then they had a second album called Recurrence, and that one is a little bit more like jangly guitar rock, kind of like REM with a little bit more of an edge. And a lot of people think this is their best album. I like Native Place a lot because they added some keyboards, and they didn't, the way they added them, it didn't take away from. One of the things that Railway Children did so well was they had layered melodic guitar parts that kind of sat on top of each other, or melodies and counter melodies. And I always say about the Railway Children, it's like listening to the Smiths without having to put up with Morrissey. So if you like the Smiths, you'll really like Railway Children. They kind of fizzled after this. They reformed a couple of times, never really made another strong album. But that's my number 9. Something so good.
Well, I want to mention something. I remember seeing Railway. God, I thought that they had like an album that had like a green cover. Or am I getting them confused with somebody else?
I can't think of one. The album that came out after this was called Dream Arcade, and he had moved to Japan, and the main guy, Gary Newby, had moved to Japan and reformed the band with like all Japanese guys. And so that one's not very good. But that cover is not because they're Japanese guys, but just because they're unknowns that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, watch out what you say, Todd. You'll get Ernesto going.
Yeah, you'll get your white card pulled.
But yeah, I mean, so it's like, when somebody puts out an album and everybody, you look at all the names and you think, I don't know these people. But anyway, that album's blue, so I can't think of a group.
Maybe it's that one. There was one that I remember seeing in the cutout bins. And I kept seeing it. I never would pick it up. And then I never saw it again. I just remember it was Railway Children. But God, maybe it was that record.
Really great band. And then my next one, number 8. This one's kind of funny. There may be some comments about this one too. My number 8 is Devo from the album Smooth Noodle Maps. And this is a song called Devo Has Feelings Too. And first of all, that's just got to be the best title for a Devo song ever. But after I picked this, I started, looking it up, to try to, see some things to say about it. And I realized that this album got totally panned, and most Devo fans don't like it. A lot of people call it the worst Devo album. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I'm kind of a super fan, so I like all of the Devo albums. But this song is great because the lyrics are very dark, and it's really got a cynical kind of snarky attitude about it. And so that's my number 8. Devo Has Feelings Too. And hopefully when you hear my honorable mentions later, you won't come after me for putting it ahead of some of the things that ended up there.
Yeah, Nick says, I remember that crazy Devo song. It was a little odd.
Yeah, the single from this album was called Postmodern Man.
Yes.
If that jogs any memories.
I remember seeing that video back in the day. They played it on Night Flight.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, I like that song. I think that song
Mark Mothersbaugh called the tour that followed this their Spinal Tap moment, where the crowds kept getting smaller, and they said they were not going to perform for a while. So the album's not that bad, I promise.
Well, I know Devo's going to start. They're going to be playing here, I think, this summer in Columbus. They're going to play.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing them again.
And I saw them on the 80s cruise the year before. They were great. Christian, how are you? You're late. Come on. I tried to hold the show for you, man. Come on. All right.
Jason Bundy says Doghouse is his favorite off of this album. A couple comments down, and I like that one too.
I don't think
that's a great song too.
I never bought this. I don't. There's
Devo got really angry with Enigma when this album came out because because it was basically a soft release. It was released with no promotion. So
right, I think probably a lot of that stuff. I don't think Enigma ever did much promotion.
No,
unless it was Poison.
Yeah, can't take away any of that Poison money.
Heck no, can't give any of the Devo.
No, it's earmarked.
All right, thanks, Todd. All right, I'm gonna go. I'll leave Ivon stuff till the end. I'm gonna kind of go all over the place. I'm gonna go with a band that was already mentioned. I saw this band play the Newport in Columbus, Ohio during the summer, and I've mentioned this story, but I don't know. I'll mention it again. And the band actually was out front of this place playing soccer back and forth. No one knew who they were. They just looked like guys playing soccer. And when I went to the show, there were probably 25 people in the audience. We are talking the Laws. There she goes again. Phenomenal. And no one, I knew, I was hip to the scene, man. I was there at the show. No one else was, but God, they were phenomenal. The one and only album they did, There She Goes Again, I think's power pop. I would call that power pop, ladies and gentlemen. It's great. And I think that track was Steve Lillywhite was produced, and I don't think that the band ever really embraced that song. It's a little bit different than anything else that's on the album, but I love this record, and I've loved it ever since it came out.
Do you know what I think is really cool about this song? I heard it a couple of months ago, and I couldn't figure out what it was about it that makes it so different. There's no chorus. It's just a verse. It's just a verse repeated over and over, and it's real short. It doesn't overstay.
I never really thought about it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of cool. That's hard to pull off.
You're only going to get this kind of stuff here in the Warehouse, folks.
It's true, 100%. But anyway,
I never thought of that. That's great.
I do want to extend a thanks to everybody tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. It's always fun. I love doing these top 10 track shows because it's just fun to talk about stuff. And I do appreciate everybody tuning in, and I do appreciate the panel coming on tonight. So we will keep it going. My next pick, ladies and gentlemen, what do I want to pick? This is another one. Oh my, okay. This is another artist that I saw live, but I think I saw it in 91 because he was out on tour with touring this record, but it was with Sonic Youth and Social Distortion. And this was already mentioned in the comments. I'm going to go with Neil Young and Crazy Horse, but I'm going to go with the single off of this because we're a really clean channel when we don't say F words because there's an F word on this. We're very clean. But I'm going to go with Mansion on Hill, which was the single. This whole record, love this record. What a great Neil Young and Crazy Horse album. For one, it just sounds so lively, which it was. It's a, you know, they recorded all this live and wherever Neil lives in the ranch. But phenomenal. What a way to start out the 90s, Neil. Excellent. And wasn't this like one of the real early ones right after he got off of Geffen? Am I right? What was the first album? It was the one, the Blue Notes, right?
Blue Notes was, I think, on, wasn't on Geffen, was it?
That was on Reprise.
Yeah. Freedom was
Freedom
on Geffen, I believe.
No, Freedom was on Reprise.
Okay, well then this would be the next album.
I think this is the next
I
album.
think the last one on Geffen was the one with
This Note's for You.
Life.
That was on
Life.
Reprise.
I think Life was
That was
the last
88.
one.
Yeah, Life was on Geffen. And Life was like really 80s sounding. And it was just
I
on
think
the
that's
list when
Landing
Neil.
on Water. Landing on Water was the one with the synths and the
Life got he put out
Electronic
some
drums.
many damn records.
Life was
Jesus.
another Crazy Horse album. Now that I
Yes.
think about it,
It
yeah.
was decent.
Right.
John Patterson says that the Laws tune There She Goes was not a hit in Canada until the movie So You Married an Axe Murder with Mike Myers. It was huge in this country. I'll be damned.
Yeah, here's a
Full
fun
of
fact for
information.
you.
But anyway, Neil Young, my next pick. Let's see what I want to go with. Oh, for goodness sakes. This is another band. How can I not mention this band? I got to have a Jellyfish song on here because I saw them both on this tour and Spilt Milk. The King is Half Undressed from Belly Button. God dang. I was so into these guys.
You and me both. And I left the Jellyfish pick. I knew Grant's going to include it. So
100%.
Oh my God, one of my all-time favorite bands with only 2 albums.
And I saw them at the Newport 2, same place I saw the Laws. There were more people to see Jellyfish, but still.
I know.
They never, when I saw them the second time, like I said, they were on a flatbed truck at Ludlow's in Columbus. And they were outside playing on a flatbed truck outside of a bar. And there was they just could never get any traction. But man, now everybody looks at them like they were something. But at the time, Anyway, there you go. That's my pick.
If they would have got the attention back then that they have now in retrospect, they would have made a real go of it. But just couldn't get any traction.
Now, Nick, if Schnee was here, he would say, well, they're really
adjacent.
they're power pop adjacent. but he's not here, so you can call him Power Pop.
Hang on there, Keith.
Yeah,
on
hang
He's
on.
there.
always
Hang.
anticipating what we're doing. All right, cool. Excellent, Grant. That was good. Oh, you're
Excellent,
welcome.
Grant.
Excellent,
right.
Grant.
All right, DC, you're up. What's your next three?
All right. And Ken White mentioned
Oh,
Living Color. And I did make a Living Color pick earlier, Ken. So if you watch the show and you'll get that. And let's return to the funk. But this time it's funk of an alternative rock vein. It's Jane's Addiction with Been Caught Stealing. That riff. And this is my first pick that features dogs barking.
why are there more?
You have more, yeah.
There's not a whole, just a very interesting, ruff, 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 that dog's barking in there. That video looks like the kind of characters I would encounter at a grocery store in Youngstown. Funny, but kind of scary too. But this is a great toe tapping tune. And I love that, that, followed by that great bass line. That's a great tune.
And that was a big video too. I remember.
Oh, it was a humongous one. And like I said, those people remind me of my hometown. Next up is a beautiful, beautiful song. We're going to cover the ballads here. It's not all fun and games and ass clownery with DC. There is a softer side. Now, oh yeah. Tears for Fears knew right away what a monster vocalist this artist was when they heard her in a lounge in Kansas City, and then utilized her to perfection on the album Sowing the Seeds of Love. It's Oleta Adams with Get Here. So beautiful, delicate piano, bass, drums, fantastic emotional performance. Not over the top, just right in the pocket. Mwah! Chef's kiss. Next, my third pick of the second go round is a band that has been a later life all-time favorite of mine. They are parts the Hollies and Nirvana. And this track is more focused on the Hollies part of the equation. It's the Posies with Apology from the album Dear 23.
Good record.
Wonderful harmony vocals around an acoustic-based composition. And Grant and I looked at this group a few years ago. I think that may have been the first time, or was it Enough's Enough? One of the first times I was on the Warehouse.
One of those two.
And if you think I've got any taste at all, check these guys out and thank me later. But I know there's a bunch of you that think I'm batshit crazy, so don't waste your time.
Yeah, this was a pretty big record back in the day, at least on the alternative channel.
Yeah, they got a little bit of ground with this.
Now, if you're lucky, go through the CD bins, the cheapy bins, and you will find the Posies there. So you can get it cheap because they sold quite a few records. So, but I would recommend it. It's a good record. I don't always return to it all the time, but whenever I hear it, I like it.
Yeah, I return more to Frosting on the Beater. Frosting on the, that's Frosting on the Beater. Yeah.
That's true, Al. Kind of became Big Star Mark II when they backed Alex Chilton. Yeah. Did you ever hear that? Any of you guys ever hear that Big Star album that they recorded live with the two members of the Posies?
St. Louis or something at some university or Columbia. Yeah.
That was a money grab. Probably considered a money grab, but it was a decent record.
Yeah, you got to pay the bills,
100%.
It's hard to be an artist.
Yeah, Christian, we mentioned King's X. Of course, you're late.
Christian, you got here late. That was another one of my. Yeah, that was one of my picks.
People.
So when we're done here, rewatch it, and you'll see those groups mentioned.
I'm just giving you guys hell. All right, was that 3 DC?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. BM Bolt, what's your 3?
Okay, so this next pick is probably my favorite album from 1990, actually. I had his prior album to this, but this one just really blew me away. And I think this may be the best guitar instrumental I've ever heard, and I'm going to go with Cliffs of Dover. There's so many good songs on this album, though. Even some of the ones he sings on. Like somebody had mentioned 40 Mile Town. I love that. But Cliffs of Dover, that instrumental is just brilliant. It's an instrumental, but I'm gonna say there's a chorus to it where he's playing this little run over and over. I don't know how he came up with it. but it's just brilliant. And the tones that he gets on this album are just incredible. It's just a great album. I saw him on this tour in a little bar here in Omaha. I actually saw him like 3 times on that tour, but the first time I saw him was in this bar, and it was just incredible.
Well, yeah.
You know what,
Byron, I saw him open for Rush on, I think, the Presto tour. Oh,
I think
fantastic.
I saw. Well, no, I think I saw. Go ahead.
He opened for Rush one of their tours.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah,
with Presto.
I've seen him
My,
probably
my.
8 times. So
What a
that
talent.
Eric Johnson, those CD, I've seen that in the cheapy bins multiple times, and I just never buy it. Now when I see it,
you should buy it.
I'm going to buy it. And that's not the only Eric Johnson CD that I've seen cheap.
You should buy anything.
I'll,
you see it in the
I
cheapy
will
bin.
now. This is why ladies and gentlemen, this is why we do these shows, to turn you on to stuff. Look, God knows how many things I bought so far tonight.
Grant, that's a conundrum for me too, because I find these really great albums in the cheapy bins and it hurts my soul. So sometimes I do buy them and I got nobody to give them to. Nobody in my life is passionate about music like I am. So I have a couple stacks of things here that I can't stand to have them sit there in the cheapy bins. If I come across...
Why is DC depressing me tonight? Jeez. I've got all these CDs. I don't have any.
They're like orphans that he needs to find a home for.
God, you're a downer. Are you still worked up over Jill's passing? What is going on?
I was a little bit bummed out by that.
Right. Everything's good, DC. Everything's fine.
Oh, believe me, I can roll with it. Brain surgery, Jill, whatever.
Well, you can, if something happens to you, just tell the wife that I'll take all those CDs.
Oh,
she has something to do with them.
She has her marching orders about a lot of stuff that's in here, so don't you worry.
I did. I do have Saint Anger.
I was just listening to Saint Anger yesterday. It's not very good.
I just bought it.
So if you want Grant to buy something, just tell him we should do a show on it. Then he'll have to go out and buy it. So we'll have to do an Eric Johnson show at some point.
Yeah, we got one of our listeners out there.
I could do Eric Johnson.
Bought King's X based on our discussion here.
So anyway, okay. So, geez, that was a tangent, ladies and gentlemen. But still, it was all important. All right. Do you have another one there?
I got 2 more to do.
Oh, Jesus.
Jeez,
Sorry about that.
Let me get through this.
Holy crap. Let's stop for a moment. There's Steve Polari. Steve Polari, how are you? Nice to see you. Appreciate everybody coming on tonight. It's always fun to hang out. All right, go ahead. What's your next one?
All right. Since Ernesto demanded I pick this, I did have it already picked. So we're going to go Gary Moore, Still Got the Blues. When this album came out, I was surprised because, it was a complete 180 from his hard rock that he'd been doing. But it's probably his biggest selling album, and probably his biggest hit too. The song has a Parisian Walkways feel to it, if anybody knows that one. It's great melody that he's playing. Gary was just one of the best. He's my all-time favorite guitarist, because he can do a little bit of everything. So my next pick is actually pretty commercial. I don't normally pick very commercial tracks, but I mean, I'm going to go with High Enough off this Damn Yankees album because, what can you say about the singing on this track between Tommy and Jack Blades? Like I said, it's commercial, but the song is just really strong. And I'll probably never pick another song as popular as this again. But my wife loves this track. I really dig it. Nuge has kind of got an over-the-top solo on it, but, whatever.
Well, the thing is, it's good about...
Go ahead.
To go down the Damn Yankees track, at least this sounds more like a group effort as opposed to the second album, which is heavily dominated by Mr. Nugent, which is fine, but it just doesn't seem like... I could see why maybe... Of course, there was a third album that they recorded that got rejected. And they spent like how many millions on it? $1 million or something on it. And the record company rejected it. But a lot of those songs came out on other releases. But I'm sure it was even more dominated. I tend. But anyway, I don't. The first Damn Yankees album, though, I think it's fine, But it is kind of commercial.
Yeah,
but
it's just a strong song, though. Geez. So I thought I'd pick it.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's good. What Ashley? Love Damn Yankees, but Ted Nugent on a power ballad. Arg. Okay. Well.
A little over the top.
Yeah, but Tommy Shaw can sing anything, and I'm in. I'm good.
Great
for the
vocals
most
on
part.
that track. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Excellent, Mr. Bolt. Let's throw it over to John the Music Nut.
All right. So we're going hip hop now. And this band's hit was already mentioned in the chat, but I'm going with the song that was really big in the clubs. And we had a great statement, words to live by here for the women, spoken by Humpty Hump on this song.
Jesus.
See a guy you like? Just grab him into biscuits and do what you like.
Poetry.
Here's poetry. So
Yes.
eloquently spoken. No one could have said it better than Humpty Hump on Do What You Like. And we just need the graphic here.
Is
From
this
the
it?
Sex Packets
Oh,
album.
yeah.
There it is. It was the second single. It wasn't a big hit like Humpty Dance was, but it was really big in the clubs. And if you heard a dance party on a Friday or Saturday night on the radio, you always heard Do What You Like. You probably still hear Do What You Like.
I don't know if I even would. I've never
I don't
even
know
seen
this
the
guy.
album cover. I might not even know what it is.
And another great line in this song, Vanessa Williams, oh, you're so divine. Just want to put your name on my rhyme and do what you like. Vanessa Williams was a big deal back then, folks.
Yeah, that's true. She was.
Yeah,
There's-
1990 for sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And there's a lot of sampling on this album. You can play guess the riff or guess what song this was from on this album all over the place. But it's a very good album. It's a lot of fun. Cool
So-
album.
Was this around what year was Paul's Boutique?
That was 89.
See, that album, I bet you this album the same kind of thing because it was kind of the wild frontier as far
It
as
was.
sampling goes. Because I always understood that as far as Paul's Boutique goes, which is supposed to be a phenomenal. Well, I've got it. I probably should listen to it. I haven't.
It's awesome.
Okay. You could not make that album today. It would cost you an arm and a leg in licensing.
That's true.
It was. Is this kind of this probably the same type of thing?
Not as many samples as the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys had tons of samples on there. If you have to look on Wikipedia, it'll show you how many there were, and some of them you're like, oh, they grabbed that too, but I didn't pick that up. Like there'd be like 10 samples on a song on that album. This one, they're just grabbing a basic riff, like The Way We Swing. That's from Jimi Hendrix's Who Knows from Band of Gypsies. And that's just riding out the whole song. Whereas with the Beastie Boys, they're bouncing all over the place, taking a little bit here, a little bit there from all these different genres on those songs.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that are on here are really recognizable.
We got to be careful because if the Jimi Hendrix estate is listening, they're going to take Digital Underground and just mutilate them.
They don't play games, do they?
No, not the Jimi Hendrix estate.
No.
No way. You can't do anything.
No.
Jeez. So,
There
all
you
right,
go.
cool. Excellent pick, even though I have no idea what it sounds like. All right.
If you put this on after the show, Grant, you'll be like, I remember this.
Okay.
Yeah. This got played a lot back in the
And
day.
you'll probably bust the groove
There
This
you
is
go.
the first time that Digital Underground has been mentioned
on the Warehouse.
in the Warehouse.
There you go. And outside of this year, it may be the last. Because I think all the rest of their albums went cardboard. I don't think they
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was pretty much it for them. This was the bit. This was their shot to big time.
Yeah.
So number 6. Now we're going with a power ballad, and this was the last of this band's 8 top 20 hits. And this was also used kind of as a. It was used in. This came out as a single at the time we were about to go into the Gulf War. And you heard this a lot during that time. Very personal ballad from Poison. And this is something to believe in. and this was their last really huge song. It went to, I think this hit number 4 on the Billboard Top 10, and Poison did a good job on the ballads, but I think this is the topper. This one I think really spoke to Every Rose Has Its Thorn away. Starts out with that great eloquent piano, and then we got that nice lyrical solo from CeCe DeVille, which our friend Byron say, yeah, it's okay, but you know, if Richie Kotzen was on this album, it would have been
better.
It would have been better.
Yeah, because Richie Kotzen came on the next album, Native Tongue. This is a very cool song. Excellent chorus on here. Very spiritual. That's my number 5. Poison, Something to Believe in.
Perfect.
Byron, your thoughts?
I like Metal Cousins. I'm not a Poison fan.
Gotcha. Not even Native Tongue?
I've never listened to it. I think I've heard 1 or 2 songs of it.
Okay.
That's right, but that's the beauty of the Warehouse. We encompass
It's
a
got to be
lot
better
of
than
different
the first 2, right?
Well, this is the 3rd album, and the Native Tongue would have been the 4th.
I thought that was their 3rd. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it was their this was their 3rd. This was the last one they gave them the
I
big
got
hit.
their first 2 here on CDs if anybody wants them.
I don't. I don't know if Ernesto's being funny or not. He says CeCe is a great guitarist, and I can't really answer that question. Is he? Or no? Is he being facetious?
I think
He's
he
okay?
is.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he odd looking.
You don't want to. Well, they made an album called Swallow This Live. It was a double CD live album after this album. And there's a 10-minute guitar solo on there from CeCe. And, you know, he's a good guy and all, but you're going to wish you got those 10 minutes back after you hear it.
He's no Bill Nelson.
Is it kind of like when we looked at U2, we talked about Rattle and Hum and Helter Skelter?
Well, it's a lot longer than that. It's worse than that.
It's worse than that?
Then Helter Skelter? Oh, gosh, yeah. The live album isn't good. Like, the one thing about Poison, you could say they wrote some
It's
catchy
not
songs,
good, ladies and gentlemen.
but Swallow This Live. Well, even the album title isn't good. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't recommend it.
okay. Well, we'll move on from Poison because we might lose viewers.
We had Webb comment about if anybody mentioned the Living Color album, and yes, we did very early on in the show. One of my picks, Elvis is Dead. So yeah, we did cover that album.
Yeah, we got that.
Oh yeah, and just before
Jason, though, however, wait a minute, Jason was a Poison fan at that time, but jumped ship not long after. Jason, do you like that live album that came out? I want to know what Jason.
You probably get it for $1 now.
I don't know if I've ever seen it. What's it called?
I've seen it in the used bins for $1.
Oh, Christian says CeCe's guitar tone is grating. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, those are the first 2.
Okay.
Look what the cat dragged in and opened up.
Never listened to them.
You guys remember when the second album was banned and they replaced it with that cover? And everybody, I was always out in the bins trying to look for that original cover so I could buy it and turn it around, because actually that first cover, you could get some money for it back in the day. You could never find it.
It was only out for about 2 weeks, and then they took it off the shelves.
Hey, Trey made a point. He said CeCe's side band, Samantha 7, put out a great album, Power Pop Adjacent. Yeah, I'll give that a listen. I'll check that out.
Samantha 7. Really?
I've heard of Samantha.
Here we
7.
go. And there it begins. Grant gets out his pen. He starts writing shit down.
Then gets out his wall.
Let's get moving here, you guys. We'll be here all night.
Byron, I think Ash wants your Poison CDs.
Yeah, I'm not mailing those to Australia.
God, you can, that's too much, Ash. Jeez. All right. I never liked Poison, but they did look better than some of the girls I knew. All right.
Yeah.
Was that
That's my-
3?
I got one more.
Oh, see, shit. All right, go ahead.
All right. Now, this one's going to be introduced by Snagglepuss. So, this one was already spoken about by Byron earlier. And it's not about the Oxycontin. It's not about the Louisville Slugger. It is the painkiller, even. Faster than a laser bullet. Louder than an atom bomb. Fantastic track. And I echo everything that Byron said about this song, and some of you in the comments. Rob was on fire vocally on this album. And this is when they truly got back to metal. And this was an album I thought was a little overrated for a long time, but when Johnny Metal and I talked about the Judas Priest catalog on his channel, My Music Order, we revisited this album. It reminded me, it was a lot better than I remembered. And now I think this was the last really strong album they did up until Invincible Shield from last year. But everything on here is good. This hit AOR too. This got played on Album Oriented Rock, and Touch of Evil did as well. And Nightcrawler, everything on here is good. But the title track that just brings you right in. What a performance, and another great bridge, which I just quoted there in the Snagglepuss voice. So Judas Priest, Painkiller is my number 5.
Okay, John the Music Nut, I need you to read this quote in your best New York accent.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It was the house of whores, but turned into the house of horrors.
Thank you. Excellent. All right. Oh, I just have to laugh. All right. Thank you, John. Let's throw it over to who are you? Todd.
Very good too.
Jesus. All right, Todd, what's your next 3?
All right, well, I'm going to shift gears pretty abruptly. I'm going to talk about Fish, not with a P, but Fish, the former lead vocalist of Marillion. And from his debut solo album, I'm going to talk about A Gentleman's Excuse Me.
Yes.
Very, very tender ballad, just Fish and an orchestral accompaniment. Very interesting because he does not sing it with an accent. He sings it with a very straightforward, almost a theater voice. And really fantastic song.
Yep.
If Marillion hadn't come out with Season's End in the previous year, if I had heard this first before I heard the Marillion album, I would have been worried. I would have been like, uh-oh. But Marillion did put their album out first. And Fish actually held this one back so that it wouldn't compete with the Marillion album. But beautiful song. The whole album, very strong album. If anybody's never heard this, unfortunately, I'm kind of the mind that thinks that this album and the one after it, Internal Exile, are really where Fish kind of peaked. He kind of peaked early and did some pretty memorable stuff after that, but not quite as good as this album right here. It's always been my favorite. So that was my number 7. My number 6, somebody mentioned a different song. I'm sorry I didn't catch who it was. Somebody mentioned a different song off of this album, but this is from the epic Prefab Sprout album, Jordan the Comeback, the double-length album produced by Thomas Dolby. I picked Scarlet Nights. This was a really, I knew I needed to pick something from this album, but this was a hard one to pick because I couldn't really pick a song that stood out because the whole album is kind of everything kind of goes together. But I picked this song because it's probably the closest that they ever got to having a big rock song that almost sounds like an arena rock song. Beautiful song. It's towards the end of the album, and it's got Wendy Smith sings the chorus along with Patty McAloon. And Wendy's one of the kind of band member, kind of like John Oates, where you kind of wonder what she does, but if you took her out, you'd miss her. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I love about this song is that she sings the chorus along with him. And I think that's a great song. And then my number 5 is from what I think is the, see if we get anybody to disagree. I'm sure we will. What I think is the best Midnight Oil album. and this is from Blue Sky Mining, and it's Shakers and Movers. And it's funny, this particular song, I picked it because this is a great album, but Shakers and Movers really stands out as having the best melody and being the most memorable song. It always has to me. And the album after this, which was Earth and Sun and Moon, had a song on it called In the Valley, same kind of thing. Just always one song on side 2 that just really stands out in front of the rest. And I just absolutely love this song. And I think that Diesel and Dust, Blue Sky Mining, and Earth and Sun and Moon is a great run by this band, and it's my favorite period for them.
I've got a copy of this on blue vinyl, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the one to have.
I've got the CD too. This is one of those CDs you can buy all day for $1.
Right.
I don't know why though, because you can get a lot of other Midnight Oil CDs really cheap, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, my buddy who owns a record store not far from here has one of those. Have you ever seen the set that's like in an oil can, and it's their entire discography, and it's he just wants a little bit too much for it. But one of these days, I'm just waiting for him to discount it just a little bit.
Was that an import, or did that come out domestically?
I'm not sure. You open it up and it's got like a foam insert, with a square, and then all the CDs are like little.
That's kind of cool though.
Cardboard sleeves, and very cool. I'll end up with it someday.
All right. Yeah, you just keep your eye on it. Cool. All right, I guess I'm up. Let me scroll. I got to scroll to get to it. Okay. Well, this. What do we want to go? Okay, I know what I want to talk about. I'm going to go with, this is another band. Man, I'm looking at 1990, and man, was I busy going to shows in 1990. Next one I'm going to go pick, because I saw this tour. The Breeders off of Pod. I could pick anything off of this record. I'm going to pick Hellbound because it's more uppity, but man, saw the Breeders in 1990, and then I saw them later, after, what was the album that came out after this? The big one. Cannonball. Well, it's Cannonball on it. Oh, geez, Grant.
I can see it, but I can't remember what it's called.
Saw them on there. The Breeders are always great, huh?
Last Splash?
Last Splash.
Yeah.
Saw them on there. But this was great. The Breeders, I love this record. And I don't think this sold very much. I was so into them that I would buy like all the little EPs that would come out. The CD EPs. You guys remember those? Oh, man, because they'd always have all these bonus tracks. But, man, I love Kim Deal. I just love everything that she was doing around this time. So, anyway, the Breeders Pod, Hellbound, alternative classic as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Okay, my next one, I'm going to go with, you're probably going to go, really, Grant? You're choosing something off of this record? Well, there are a couple of songs on here that are really phenomenal, that stand head and shoulders above the rest. Off Cheap Trick Busted, the track Had to Make You Mine. I'd say that's definitely power pop. Wonderful. Man, if it had Tom Worman production, it would make me melt in the corner. But it doesn't. I think, isn't this Richie Zito? God,
yes.
Oh, God.
It is.
Shocked you picked this album. Wow.
Well, but this song, for some reason, is phenomenal.
The Roy Wood tune's really good, too.
And the Roy Wood tune, because it doesn't fit. It just sounds like real Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
Where the rest of the album really doesn't sound like Cheap Trick. It could get me going on this.
That's what these albums are like.
Is great. What's
that's
that?
what these albums are like. Is that people say, "Oh, that album sucks," and you think, "No. There's one song. There's two songs that are pretty good."
It Had to Make You Mine. Jesus, great stuff.
It's a good album. It's a decent album. Yeah,
it's my least favorite.
It's my least
there's
favorite.
Like 3 good songs.
One of them.
Yeah.
I hate to say this. I might go out on a ledge, but I might like the Doctor more than this record.
I do, just a little.
You know what? In all honesty, if we could remix the Doctor and get rid of all the shit that's on it, you know, and have real bunny drums, get rid of all the gimmickry. There are actually some good songs on that record if you can get to them,
Right.
you know.
Get rid of the cover art too, because clowns acting sexually, I'm out.
I didn't even know what was the cover. I didn't even know what the
Woke
cover
up
was.
with
Woke up with a monster.
That's actually a thing.
Woke Up with the Monster is the most horrid Cheap Trick album cover on the planet.
My God, what were they thinking?
Jesus. Zappis, I didn't think you'd see something from. Well, I love that. Had to Make You Mine is phenomenal. So yeah, Wolfpack knew there'd be some Cheap Trick. Does that have the cover of Happiness is a Warm Gun? Yes, Pod has that on there. All right, my next pick, I'm gonna go with. God, I'm hitting the wrong button. Geez, what do I want to go with? All right, I'm gonna go. All right, I have to pick this. When this came out in 1990. I thought it was kind of cool, but then I ended up buying the entire catalog later, probably within the last 2 years. Now, this is not typical for me, but I have to admit, John the Music Guy and I did a show on this. Groove in the Heart this is phenomenal. The whole record is great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a dance album. It's, I guess, is this techno, I guess? What would you call it, John?
It is more of a dance album, but it's organic, though.
Yes.
You got real instruments on here. It's not like the dance music that came just a few years later.
I like all three of the records.
Me too, but this is my favorite.
Right. Well,
yeah,
first one. So there you go. Little delight, everyone. I dig it. I like it. And I listen to it and it still sounds fresh,
yes,
shiny, and new.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I say that about the Thompson Twins and Culture Club, because if I hear any of that shit, I go, oh yeah, I still think in my brain that's current. I do.
Well,
too many 80s cruises.
I still think it's current. Old and decrepit. It's a horrible thing. All right, so there's my three. We'll send it over to DC for his final four.
All right, final four. Here's a pick that's appeared on a couple of my top 10 lists before. Wait a minute. I put them out of order, Grant. Okay, this artist has appeared before, but not as a solo artist. And this is from Armchair Theater. It's a wonderful pop tune called Every Little Thing by Jeff Lynne. Again, very Beatlesque. And it's upbeat. And when you hear this, you just don't want to fire a cap in anybody's ass. It's just that kind of song. Next.
You don't want to, is what you're saying.
You don't want to. No. Yeah, everything's cheery. Rain.
I like this whole album.
Yeah, it's good. It's just.
Never heard that.
Oh, it's great. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I used to have a copy of it. This is a little bit of tidbit, but Todd Evans probably knows this because he worked in the industry. And by the industry, I mean the business. The promo copies of Armchair Theater had the same graphic of him sitting in the chair. And the regular ones that came out in the stores didn't. They were just silver. But if you have a promo, it's got graphics of Jeff sitting in the chair on it.
Really?
I ever heard this?
Yeah.
I never had the CD.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah.
How was that? I've never heard it. I'm aware of it.
I think it's kind of, is it rockabilly? I don't remember.
There's a little bit of everything on there, whereas this Armchair Theater is like a summertime, just laid back, good grooves in a pop sense type of album, not anything overbearing or over orchestrated. It's a good one.
Yeah, we already did that, Tyler. That's all right, though. That's a good pick.
That's my pick.
We want to give, we need to give BM Bolt the trophy for yes, that was his pick. But anyway, Jeff Lynne, great stuff. Holy crap, love it.
All right, the next pick is from a largely unknown artist, but he writes great songs and performs wonderful songs as a group member and a solo artist, and this time teaming up with Christine McVie for the tune Can't Feel the Pain. It's Brent Bourgeois. This could have been on a Fleetwood Mac album. and a hit if it had that name recognition, I'm sure. I don't think this was released as a single. It's acoustic based mid-tempo pop. I really dig it. Another pick that's been on a top 10 list before. This group is one of my all-time favorites, and it's been mentioned before here. It's from the album Jordan, The Comeback, and I could have picked 4 or 5 tracks here. The same thing that was mentioned before. I picked Looking for Atlantis, and I would call this a galloping, mid-paced shuffle rocker. And Patty's on lead vocals, and then Wendy is doing also background vocals, and it's a nice mix. Melodic, of course. Whole album is great. They've got a variety of musical stylings here. So this is really a tremendous album. If you're not familiar with this album or this group, they're worth investigating. All right, let's finish up where I almost started out with my list. And go with a tune in a similar vein to my Living Color pick, only this one is even funkier. In fact, it cooks. It's The Time with Skillet from the album Pandemonium. This thing is funky as all get out with a nasty guitar riff, powerful drumming propelled by the bass, a credible rock funk lead guitar in here, and sassy vocals from Morris Day. And put this one on at your next party. And if there's someone there that's not even tapping their foot, check for a pulse. There
No
you go.
doubt.
Hold on, I have to take this call. I do. This is Grant.
This is behind the scenes in the warehouse.
Yeah,
folks. This is the inside baseball part of our programming.
Grant, tell them your house is
Okay.
not for sale.
Have you no respect for the rock and roll?
So, you guys, so this is it's in the LMS queue. All right, I'll take a look. All right. I'm on
Are you
call.
I was
We
just
can-
going to ask that.
We can edit that in post-production. Don't worry.
Well, there you go. Well, I'll look at it. We're almost done. I'll look at it. They can wait, I think. Well, I can look at it. You can talk. I can work.
Let's continue. Yeah.
We'll continue. Anyway, I guess I'm on call tonight, so I got to pick it up. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. All right, go ahead, DC. Oh, is
Byron
it
the Byron.
Ian Bolt?
Yes.
Byron, you're up.
Oh, okay. He's done. All right. So, all right, this next pick of mine, I actually picked a song by this guy on our 1989 show. The song was called 1969. But so I'm going to go off of the Adrian Belew Young Lions album. I'm going to pick. Adrian was really at the top of his game, I thought, in this 89 to 93-ish time period, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to pick Men in Helicopters. I love this track. I could have gone with like Looking for a UFO too. I really like that one, but this one really just is a good tune. I like he's talking about, how we kind of as humans destroy the planet in some ways. And, but yeah, you got to hear these albums of Adrian's from that time period. Oh, and we're going to be doing an Adrian top 5 albums, I think, in about a month or so.
Yes, sir.
Rough,
I don't know what it is, but
tentatively.
yes.
So yeah. Okay, so this album was already mentioned, but I'm going to go with Hard to Handle off this first Black Crowes album. Yeah, I know it's a cover, but I didn't know it was a cover
No, it's all right.
when I first heard this.
Simmer down.
When I first heard it, I thought it was an original by them. I didn't know who was it. Otis Redding did it.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time, and I just love it, man. These guys can really groove. You could have picked a lot of songs on this album. This is a great album.
It is.
I might
You
even
guys
pick
like-
something off. Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you guys like the Jimmy Page team up with the Black Crowes?
It was fine.
I enjoyed it
I liked
quite a
it.
little bit. Put a slightly different spin on all those Zeppelin tunes.
Yeah. I might be picking something off their second album too. Is that 91 or 92? But
92. Yeah.
so I think I'll be grabbing something off that as well.
So you're saying that if I would get into Black Crowes, really the only Black Crowes album I need's this?
You're not a Black Crowes fan?
I know. Well,
I was the second album may be
I think
better
you
than the
know
first
that
album.
now,
They're both really strong.
but that's it. You just need the first two, and that's it.
Well, the third one's pretty good. I don't think it's as good, but
I like all their albums. In fact, my favorites are actually from their later period because back by that point, they were actually starting to sound like a modern version of the band because they
toned it down over the
They
years.
toned it down. They got a lot more into Americana, and they were bringing in a lot of different instruments. The last album, Happiness Bastards, that went back more to rock. That came out last year. But as far as accessible albums, the first two.
Yeah.
We need to have Kiefer on the show. We'll try to convert him into a Black Crowes fan.
I saw him once, I don't know, 15 years ago maybe, and I didn't really like the show. It was like they turned into a jam band. I was like, this isn't my thing.
They went through a phase where their shows, they were really stretching a lot of songs out, and they were doing Allman Brothers songs that were going on for 15, 20 minutes. I saw them during that phase, and then I saw them just 10 years ago, and it was a very good show.
Yep.
And they're going out again this year.
Yeah.
So it depends when you catch them.
Yep. So my next pick, I'm going to go for the I had to really pick something off this because, man, when this album came out, I absolutely loved it. Queensryche Empire. I don't like this as much as I used to for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's still a good album, but I liked it, I think, more 20, 30 years ago than I do now. I'm picking Jet City Woman. It's a really strong track. Silent Lucidity is a really cool song, but I'm just kind of burned out on that over the years. You didn't hear Jet City Woman as much, so I'll go with that. My final pick. Actually, we played this track on one of our instrumental guitar listening parties, and he's a local guy for me. His name is Michael Lee Firkins, and the song is called Runaway Train. The title describes the song. It's like you're watching a video of this runaway train, and this would be the soundtrack to the song. It's kind of funny. I actually heard him play this live last night. He was opening here for the Aristocrats, which
really?
I had never seen them before. So that was an interesting show. Man, Marco Miniman's a hell of a drummer. I'm not into drummers, but he was impressive.
Well, it sounds like you are.
So, well, normally I can't stand drum solos. He had probably about a 15-minute drum solo, and it was like, that's still pretty good. So that would be my last pick.
All right.
Not the Aristocrats, the Michael Lee Firkins.
Correct. Excellent. All right. Here we go. We got another one. Posey's Golden Blunders.
Yeah, Posies came up earlier. Yep.
Queen's Rock Empire. Queen's Rock Empire is a good album, but a little overplayed.
Yeah.
What else? Empire. Tyler likes Empire. Empire's a good album, but it's overplayed. Seems to be the general consensus. All right, cool. Let's throw it over to John the Music Nut.
All right, thanks. So 3 of these bands or artists we've already mentioned. Number 4, Grant mentioned it earlier. I'm also going with Groove is in the Heart from Delight. And as Grant said, all 3 of the albums have a lot to offer, but the first album is excellent. Excellent album. I think it still holds up today as a great dance album. And there's a lot of good grooves on here, and they're definitely not a one-hit wonder if you listen to that album. There's a lot of great tracks on there that could have been big singles, but this one was the one that was chosen because this was the catchiest track. So that's my number 4. My number 3, I know a few of you have mentioned this in the chat, and this is Megadeth with Holy Wars to Punishment Due, the opening track off of Rust in Peace. What a fantastic album that is. What a scorcher of a track. The guitar work on here is excellent. We got another great bridge. Yes, a great bridge on a Megadeth song. This is very well written and constructed. This was a comeback, in my opinion, for Megadeth because I thought So Far, So Good, So What really came up short when you compared it to Peace Sells, But Who's Buying and during that time when they made So Far So Good So What, Dave Mustaine was going through a lot of drug issues. And then when he made this album with the rest of the band, Marty Friedman came on board and Nick Menza came on board. They were all clean and they put out arguably the best album of their career, but Holy Wars smokes. And we still don't have the graphic. Where's Holy Wars graphic?
Oh, shit. What are we looking at?
Megadeth, Holy Wars, The Punishment Due.
Well, what's that?
That was my number 3. It's right after my Delight.
I see Megadeth.
That's what I see.
I see Megadeth.
I see Megadeth.
Huh, that's weird. I still see
I'm going, what the hell's happening, people?
Delight. I don't know what the heck's going on. That's wild.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Dude, who all sees
What?
Megadeth?
What time zone are you in?
You know, what dimension are you in, John?
The transition from Delight to Megadeth was too much for the interwebs.
It must have been. I mean, I usually put it.
I could go back to Delight
Don't do it again.
and then go back to Megadeth.
Try that. I don't know. Maybe
John, look, if you John
Now
is
John's
totally
frozen.
frozen.
it's obviously on my end. Can
Oh,
you hear
yeah,
me?
obviously.
Okay.
All right. Well, anyway, it's up there, John. So
All right. Okay. All right. Believe y'all. Okay. Number 2, Peter Kerr. Hello, everyone. This is Peter Kerr from Rock 18 Nation. I see that my friend Todd Evans. Oh, there's Holy Wars.
Jesus.
My friend Todd Evans mentioned a track from this earlier from their album Blue Sky Mining. I was very privileged to see Midnight Oil on their last show in Sydney. What a wonderful album. What a wonderful show. 40 songs, 3 hours, 45 minutes long. They played all of this album. Do yourself a favor. If you can listen to their self-titled debut, very strong album. But like Todd, I'm going with a song from Blue Sky Mining. This was the last song that they played that night, and it's Forgotten Years, which was the second single off of Blue Sky Mining, and it deserved a better fate. I thought this should have been just as big as the first single, Blue Sky Mine. Excellent track. Oh, what a fantastic chorus on here. Excellent. So that's my number 2. And my number 1, this band was mentioned earlier, and it's been mentioned throughout in the chats tonight. I don't know if anyone mentioned this song, though. This is from Jane's Addition's Ritual de lo Habitual, and this is 3 Days. This is an epic of mammoth proportions. It, yes, the hyperbole is on full display when I talk about this song. This is epic track, and the build in this is just such a slow burn. You got those kettle drums there kicking in near the end when it gets really, really heavy. What an awesome track. Very memorable, too. It's 11 minutes, but it's just a song that just brings you in like all the great epics do. So that's my number 1, 3 Days from Jane's Addition. There you go.
All right. Cool. Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Evans, you are up. What's your final 4?
You know, I haven't done a show with Peter Kerr in a while, but it was like he was here. So thank you for that.
Eerily similar.
You're welcome, Paul.
Who needs Peter Kerr? We just have John Music Nut fill in.
I did a lot of shows with Peter Kerr, so I got his voice down pat.
Yeah, but
Kerr,
when he says-
Snagglepuss,
when he says the word debut, though, I always laugh because he says debut.
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 Or process instead of process. Because he said when he talked about the Midnight Oils show, and he did a show on their last concert, and he said, still trying to process this show after the last 2 days. Peter is a great channel. Rock Daydream Nation, if you haven't
Yes.
checked it out.
He's a good guy.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right.
Sorry.
Well,
Let's go,
I-
Todd.
You're good. You're good.
I'm going to go back to the Jeff Lynne album,
Wow.
Armchair Theater, and I'm going to talk about Lift Me Up, which I think was, I don't remember whether that was the first single. It was certainly one of the singles. And, you know, I had a really hard time picking a song from this album. And I almost picked Blown Away, which is a co-write with Tom Petty, which I also like. Blown Away has one of those great Jeff Lynne chords where the chord just comes in at the end of the verse and it's completely different. It's like a key change. Love that. ELO magic. But yeah, Lift Me Up is a really great song. And, you know, it's funny. When this album came out in 1990, I guess I was disappointed that it wasn't an ELO album. And I was kind of lukewarm on it. But looking back on it now, after all these years, it's a very, very good album. I like it a lot. Somebody mentioned my number 3 in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't remember who it was, but we can't talk about 1990 without talking about Birdhouse in Your Soul by They Might Be Giants. You know, I just did a show with Bicycle Legs about the album after that. It was part of his Sequel to Success series. And, you know, I actually think Bicycle Legs said that he likes Apollo 18 better, but I like Flood a little better. And produced by Clive Langer and Alan Winstanley. And I actually thought that they produced the whole album, but they only produced 4 songs. So I thought it was really interesting. The rest of it is produced by They Might Be Giants, which is pretty cool. Their major label debut. They let them self-produce. Great track, great album, but that particular track, Birdhouse in Your Soul, is really it's no surprise that it's their, you know, one of their biggest singles. My number 2, and I realize as I'm doing my list, I don't have any. I have hardly any rock on my list. I usually try to have a little bit of more variety, but I guess maybe because this was kind of the tail end of hair metal in '90, I guess I wasn't listening to much rock. But my number 2 is Cocteau Twins from Heaven or Las Vegas, Ice Blink Luck, which I think was a single. I know that there was a video for it. Those 4, you know, a lot of people think that that Pete Cocteau Twins comes before they were signed by Capitol when they were on 4AD, and I actually don't. I think that the 4 Capitol albums that start with the album before this, Bluebell Null, and go through Milk and Kisses, and this is the second of those, and probably the strongest if I had to pick one. I think that's when they really found their sound and really kind of nailed it. And this particular song, Ice Blink Luck, is beautiful. Talking about bridges, it's got the bridge in this song is a bass solo. It just right into the bit, just from the chorus into the bridge, which is just a bass solo, and then back. Just great. Just one of those unexpected things. Their songs are always like that. They're always structured in an unusual way. And my number 1 is Pet Shop Boys from Behavior, and the last track on the album called Jealousy. And if you've never heard this song, the last minute of this song is a big, huge, bombastic string arrangement, and this album was produced by Harold Faltermeyer, which is the guy that did Axel F. Beverly Hills Cop, and the strings on the song Jealousy are actually on the album track. They're sampled, but on the single release, which is the one that's on the Greatest Hits album, it's actually an orchestra, and they sound very similar. But I prefer the original version. That's because it's a little bit scrappier and kind of more. It's a little edgier. So I like the fake orchestra better than the real orchestra. But beautiful song. It's got a sentiment in it that I think anybody can relate to. He basically says, "I never knew jealousy, but until I met you." Is the last line in the song, and it's a song about being jealous, but it's also a song about, you know, loving somebody so much that this is new to me. I've never been so jealous. Why is that? I think that's a great sentiment, and I think it's a beautiful song. From this moment on is when Pet Shop Boys stopped being a pop band and just went to another level and started being started releasing albums that had just some absolutely phenomenal tracks on them. So I think this was a turning point for them.
Nice.
Excellent. Super. All right, cool. Thank you, Todd. I'm up now. Let's see what I want to do. I don't have these really numbered. Anyway, my next pick, we're going to go with the Shoegaze Band, ladies and gentlemen. This whole record is phenomenal as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to go with Ride off the album Nowhere Vapor Trail. Oh, The guitars on here sound great. The vocals are great. The whole record. I mean, if you like shoegaze, I mean, there are some other bands that are probably a lot more noisier than Ride. Ride wasn't all that noisy. They were more pop oriented, but I love this record. And no one really knows about this record so much. But check it out. I highly recommend it. Everybody needs more Ride in their repertoire. My next pick, I'm going to go with Suzanne Vega, Book of Dreams from Days of Open Hand. I really like Suzanne Vega, ladies and gentlemen. I can't help it. And I love this song. I love this record. Maybe it's not quite up to her debut, but my favorite Suzanne Vega is the 99.9 album. And I believe wasn't that produced by, she was married to him. Oh, geez, the brain.
Mitchell Froom?
Mitchell Froom.
Yeah. And the one after it, too.
Yeah.
With the name of it, I can't think of it. The one where she's holding up an apple. Yeah, both of those albums
I don't think
great.
Suzanne Vega ever put out a bad record. So
No.
I had to mention Suzanne Vega.
Was it Mitchell Froom in Gamma?
Yes. Keyboard player.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Suzanne and Mitchell, they divorced. So that's a sad story. Anyway, great record, great track. I love it. All right. My next one, I'm going to go with another band from like 1990. Now, I didn't see Red Cross live, but they played them a lot on the alternative stations. And I'm going to go with Annie's Gone off of Third Eye. There's a lot of great power pop on here. It's, if you like Jellyfish, you'll probably like this. I don't know how else to describe it. It's Jellyfish-like, kind of. But the fashion on here is really cool. You could mix this up with Delight and Matthew Sweet. It's got like those Matthew Sweet paintings on the back. Anyway, I'm on a tangent. Red Cross, Annie's Gone, great, love it. My final one I'm going to go with is a Canadian band that probably no one really knows, but they had one great song that I would definitely put in that power pop category, and I'm going to go with Blue Rodeo, Till I Am Myself Again off of Casino. You could get this damn thing in the cheapie bins right after it came out. And I think all the copies that I've ever seen all been like promos here in the States. But man, this is a great record, great band. They put out quite a bit of, they put out a lot of albums. They're probably still together as far as I'm concerned. I'm not sure, but this is for me the Blue Rodeo album to have. I think it's great. I think this was on Atco back in the day. Anyway, there you go. That's my final pick. I'd say we went all over the world. Anyway, yeah.
Do we have picks from Ivon who couldn't be with us?
Yes, we do, because John the Music Nut's going to present them.
Oh, that's right. Okay, sorry.
John, are you ready to do Yvonne's picks, and I'll just throw them up, and you can do them?
Okay, sure. Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Oh wow, that's a great pick. And London Beats. I've been thinking about you. This was a #1 song.
Was it?
It was in the United States, absolutely.
I have no idea, Yvonne. I'm sorry.
It's very good. And seriously, I have this album and I like it a lot. All right. Great song. What's next?
We're going to, okay, here you go.
Scorpions, Wind of Change. Now, this returned a band to the charts. This was a plea for peace at a time when we may not have had a lot of peace in the world in 1990. This was a great power ballad. Interestingly, this was their biggest hit single, but it has not endured like Rock You Like a Hurricane from 1984. So what we're doing is we're doing John's thoughts in Yvonne's voice. So let's go next. What do we have next?
Maria McKee, Yvonne.
Maria McKee. She sang with Lone Justice. John doesn't know too much about her, but this is a very good song. It's not on my screen, though.
Oh, you don't see it either?
I don't see it. Do you guys see it? And I don't.
Yeah. Show Me Heaven by Days of Thunder soundtrack.
John's having.
Yeah, Maria McKee, Show Me the Heaven, Days of Thunder soundtrack.
Nice. All
From
right.
the movie Days of Thunder. Very good movie.
All right, we'll go to the next one.
All right.
Ready?
Let's
do you
go.
see the? Do you see anything?
I see Maria McKee.
You are like in a time warp.
I must be in a time warp or a wormhole.
Yvonne's next pick is A Tribe Called Quest. Can I Kick It? off the album
Black Ball
People's
Flat.
Instinctive Travels and the Paths of Rhythm, which I've never heard. I have no idea
I've never
what
heard
this
that
is.
album either, but I've heard that track, and that's an excellent song. I have the next two albums, and I think those are hip hop classics. But yeah, very nice pick there, Ivon. Thank you. Can I Kick It? This is a very good song. It's very catchy, a song that I like. What is
Excellent. Do you see this?
Oh yeah, we all. I'm gonna do my voice.
Yes, just go through it, John. That's fine.
Yeah. Yvonne loves Madonna, and this is a great choice. This was a very risque song for that time. I think was this around the same time she put that book out called Sex?
Could be.
I think
don't
it's
know.
I think it was
close.
around
Yeah.
this time. I think it was. Yeah. I don't think this is one of her best singles, but it was a big hit for her. Okay.
All right. Number 5, George Michael.
Oh, Praying for Time. I don't think this song is aged as well as the songs on Faith, because I know this was a big hit, but you don't really hear it anymore. This was the album with Waiting for That Day on there too. Yeah. And he called it Listen Without Prejudice because even though Faith had sold a gazillion copies, the critics didn't like it. So, and he took that really hard. So he put out more of a serious album. And it didn't sell nearly as well. I mean, it hit number 1, but this was the opening track on there, if I believe it, if I remember correctly.
All right. There you go. We've already mentioned this one.
Oh, three
Who is in the hot? I
panelists.
really like, yes.
All right. Number 3. Here you go.
Okay, this was the first big hit that Seal had. This is off of the first album just called Seal. He was like Peter Gabriel in that vein, in the fact that he kept calling his albums by his name. I'm not too big into this album, but I have this album myself. But Crazy was to me, this and Killer were the same. Killer and Crazy were the singles. I think they're the best songs on the album, and Crazy was very memorable. It still sounds great today.
All right. Prince.
Okay, what song? I don't see it.
Joy of what does that say? Repetition. From Graffiti Bridge.
Oh, I don't know the Graffiti Bridge album. I only know the hits. Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't know.
Well, I'm sure it's great. All right. Depeche
Oh,
Mode.
Enjoy the Silence. Oh gosh, one of the most enduring singles that Depeche Mode ever did. Fantastic track. Another one still sounds great today. I think this was the biggest single of the 3 big hits from the album, and certainly the most enduring of those songs. What a chorus on here too. Fantastic.
Right. 100%. All right, that's it. That
All
was
right.
Yvonne's
Great.
list.
Great.
That's off to John. That ain't easy, man.
Thank you.
No.
Great
There's
pick, Yvonne.
firing curveballs and such, and you're
Does anybody have any honorable mentions before we wrap this dog up?
I've got some, not very many.
I have Johnny Metal's picks if you want them.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I gotta pull up the email. All right, can you guys still see me?
Yes.
Okay. His singles were. Oh wait. I'll grab these for you. Why don't you go into your honorables in the meantime?
Go ahead, Todd. You do your honorables, and then we'll.
Do
catch
you
up
want
with-
to go in order? Does anybody else have any?
I got a few.
All right,
Yeah,
go in
let's go
order.
in order.
DC go, and then
All right.
Byron.
4 real quick. The Replacements, Merry-Go-Round, Go West, King of Wishful Thinking. Unlike Delight, I go with Belle Biv DeVoe with The Poison. And I also like Lisa Stansfield, All Around the World.
All right, Byron, you got anything?
Yeah, a few of these have been mentioned, but let's go Alice in Chains, Man in the Box, although there's a lot of good stuff on that album.
Excelente.
Yes. The King's Exit's Love, That Fish, A Gentleman's Excuse Me, that Todd listed. Allman Brothers, Good Clean Fun. And I'm going to go Neil Young, Love and Only Love off of,
Ragged Glory.
yeah. It's a good album. There's a lot of strong tracks on that album.
There is.
So that's all I got.
There you go. I'll throw that up. All right, John, what you got?
Okay, I just have two honorables, and then I'll jump into John's picks.
Okay.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark by Y&T and Baby It's Tonight by Jude Cole. Someone mentioned this early in the chat. When I saw that, I'm like, shit. That would have been my top 2 or 3, but I totally forgot about it. That A View from Third Street, the album that's off of, excellent album. Okay, let's go into John's picks. Okay, She Talks to Angels by the Black Crowes. Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. Hold On by Wilson Phillips. Beyond Belief by Petra. More Than Ever by Nelson. Something to Believe In by Poison.
Is John the Music Net? John the Metal? Johnny Metal?
Is this Johnny Metal's picks?
He's got a lot of pop songs on here. But he also has Pile Driver by Damn Yankees. In My World by Anthrax. Star Dog Champion by Mother Love Bone. That I didn't see coming. And last but certainly not least, The Humpty Dance by Digital Underground. He picked a hip-hop.
I don't believe these are his picks.
You sure those are his picks?
Come on, John.
They're his picks.
Humpty Dance. Johnny Metal picked the Humpty Dance. No wonder he didn't come on tonight.
Marlon would have crucified him.
He left John to do his dirty work, the Humpty Dance. Come on.
Come on. All right, excellent. Thank you, John. Let's throw it over to Todd for his final
Okay, well, these are the ones I crossed out for my top 10. The Beautiful South, Song for Whoever, the first song on the first Beautiful South album. Depeche Mode, Enjoy the Silence, of course. Somebody just mentioned, Ken White mentioned Lloyd Cole. I picked the song Downtown from his self-titled album, but the self-titled Lloyd Cole album is a great album. And somebody else mentioned a different one in the comments. Duran Duran Sirius, I really like that song. I cut it because Liberty isn't a very good album. So I cut it. And then I also had Gary Moore, Still Got the Blues.
Awesome. There you go. You just brightened BM Bolt's day.
Great.
All right. I guess we
what variety. And in the comments, Ken White, DC, you rock, dude. Ernesto, DC, you can put your tampon back on.
God.
What the
hell is that about?
What? Two ends of the spectrum here with the fan base.
Tampon.
I'm noticing as these years are going by, our picks are just really scattering.
Yeah.
Well, except for that Delight pick, which everybody seemed to have. It seemed like.
Yeah. I know. I've been trying to work a ticket and run a show.
A lot of these songs I didn't even know.
Huh?
That's just going to be like that, I think.
I think you're right, Byron. It'll scatter even more.
Yeah, the issue is that someone wants access, but they haven't completed training. Can't give them access unless they complete training. So I'm gonna have to put the stamp on that. Sorry.
It's like these punks in the warehouse. Yeah. It's like
we can't have any problems in the medical community.
Yeah, in the warehouse, these punks work 2 weeks. They get access to the back room. Ain't gonna happen.
Wouldn't that be funny if I picked up the phone and I had one of those giant phones? One moment I have to take a call. Great show. Anyway, gentlemen, I won't keep any longer. Usually these shows go about an hour and a half. And here we are again. We will be back doing 1991 next. Hopefully we can get this lineup back. And hopefully Johnny Metal by then will be off of hiatus so he can throw out some more hip-hop tracks.
Yeah, if he could only stop Humpty dancing, maybe he could show up.
All right. I want to thank everybody in the chat for tuning in. Hudson Valley Squares will be up here. Well, it's 9:40. Could be going. No, it must not be going yet. Probably around 10 from what I hear. All right. Panel, nice to see you. We had DCBM, John the Music Nut, and Todd Evans. And we will be back for 1991 in a month. We'll see everybody. Keep it clean and have a good night.